Katrina. I read a lot of book series. I am a series addict, and usually I will probably see the series out to the very end because I just have that kind of a personality where I need to know how it's all going to end. I want to know that the time I have put into this book series so far could pay off in the end. It may not, and I may be disappointed, which has happened before, but I've got a list of series here that I have quit. It's over. I'm breaking up with them. I will not be finishing these series because I just don't like them or just don't care anymore. And it's not that they're bad series, they just aren't for me or for whatever reason, and I will definitely explain why I am quitting them as I get to them. So let's just get started because I've got 17 series here. The first series I'm quitting is The Accidentals by Dakota Cassidy, and the first book in this series is called The Accidental Werewolf and is about a woman who is accidentally bitten by a werewolf, and then she finds herself turning into a werewolf and has to kind of learn the ropes. This is an adult romance series. I believe there are 11 books in the series in total, and they each deal with a different kind of supernatural creature. So book 2 is about vampires. I did read the first 2 books, The Accidental Werewolf and Accidentally Dead, which was the vampire book, and I just feel like adult romance, a lot of times, I don't care what spin you put on it, I don't care if they're turning into vampires and werewolves, adult romance can seem like it's all the same, and I just was tired of it and didn't really want to continue reading, but if you like adult romance and paranormal, I think that it would be a cool series to check out. The second series I'm quitting is Bumped by Megan McCafferty. I believe this is a duology. The second book is called Thumped. I read the first book. I really did not like it. This is like a satire kind of book. There's a lot of humor in it, and I think it's trying to make some points, but it came off very badly in my opinion, and one of the characters is like super religious, and I just did not like the way that it was portrayed. It was done in a way where it was supposed to be funny, but I felt like it took itself too seriously almost, so it just wasn't something that I enjoyed. I really did not enjoy the first book. I definitely didn't enjoy it enough to care where it went from there. The series is about teenage pregnancy and how, like, if you're a teenage girl and you have a baby, then you like are famous or something. I don't really remember. It's been a while since I read it and I didn't enjoy it, so I don't want to continue the series. The next series that I've quit is the Tudor Chronicles by Garcia and Margaret Stohl, and there are 4 books in this series plus a spin-off series, and I've read the first book. I liked it, but I thought it was very slow and very long, and it didn't need to be as long as it was because nothing really happened. So I actually let myself be spoiled on what happens at the very end of the last book, so I know how it turns out, and I feel like that's not enough payoff for 4 books of this big obstacle being like delayed each time. So I just think that it wouldn't be a good investment of my time when there are so many other books and series out there that I really want to read. The next series I will not be continuing is Easy by Tammara. I did read the first book, Easy. I didn't like it as much as everybody else does, but there is a companion novel which is just the same story retold through the point of view of the male main character, and I don't care. I usually don't like it when stories are retold through the eyes of a different character when it's the same exact story. I did like that male character. He was pretty much like my favorite part of the book, but I don't know. It was like a solid middle of the road book for me. It was 3 stars, good message. I just really didn't like the way some things were executed, so for me, I just don't want to read the companion novel. Next is the Hybrid Chronicles trilogy by Zhang, and it's about a world where people, when you're born, you have 2 souls in your one body, and then when you reach a certain age, one of those souls is supposed to be like the dominant one and takes over and the other one disappears. But in our main character, the other soul never disappeared. It's illegal. You're not supposed to have 2 souls in yourself. One of them was supposed to have disappeared. So it's all about like the obstacle of that. I liked this book. I thought it was a very fascinating premise. I liked the character. I liked the idea of it. I liked what happened in this book. I actually am not opposed to continuing this series one day. Just right now, I have so many other books that I'm more interested in that this one I'm just feeling so lukewarm about that I think I'm just gonna quit it, at least for now. The next series on my list is the Jenna Fox Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. I loved the first book, The Adoration of Jenna Fox, but I felt like it stood as a standalone perfectly fine, and I never ever felt the need to want more in this story. So when I found out that it is a series of 3 books, I just never cared enough, and I think the other books are more about some of the other characters, and I did not find them very interesting in this first book. I felt like it just was solid on its own and I don't need any more, so I want to just leave it here where I know I enjoyed it and just leave it at that and not get into a series that I don't know if I'm going to enjoy. Next is the Nantucket series by Denise Hunter. This is an adult Christian fiction romance series of companion novels. There are 4 books and I've read 2 of them. I actually picked up book 2 first and I really loved that book. It's called Seaside Letters. It's about a man and a woman who meet online and she knows who he is, but she's too afraid to say anything to him. And one day, since they live in the same town, he actually hires her to go through his emails and try to track down the woman he has been talking to this whole time because he really wants to meet her in person, and he has no idea that the person he hired to track down the girl he's been talking to is that actual girl. I loved the setting and the story of that book, and then I read the second book, which was called The Convenient Groom, and I didn't really like the characters as much in that one. These are like very Anna and the French Kiss type series, companion romances, very swoony romances. Since they're companions and you don't have to read them in order, I just never picked up books 1 and 4 because the premises of those just didn't sound as interesting to me as the 2 books I did read, and I just don't plan ever to go back and read them because I feel like Seaside Letters was such a favorite that I'm not gonna like these other 2 anymore, so just stop while I'm ahead. So the next series that I'm quitting, I hope you guys will still be my friends, but I have no plans to continue the Series of Unfortunate Events series by Lemony Snicket. I read at least 9 of the books. I don't remember how far I got. I actually read these books when I was in college, and I read them because I had gone out with a guy whose little brother really liked them, and I would sometimes go hang out with the little brother. I would watch him when his parents had to go do something, and so he would always talk about these books to me, so I would read them so that we could have some stuff to talk about, and I really enjoyed them. The books weren't all published yet and I had stopped. I had intended to finish the series out one day, but then I just really got into so many other book series and completely forgot about this one, and I do not remember what has happened in the books I did read, so that I don't think I could go in to just pick up where I left off and really would know what was going on. And when I've got so many other books I want to read now, I just don't at this moment intend to finish them. If I ever have kids, I think I would read them with my kids, of course, but right now I just don't think that I'm gonna finish that series out because it's just been so long since I was into it. Next, I probably am not gonna finish the Forest of Hands and Teeth series by Carrie Ryan. There are 3 books in this series, and I read the first one and I liked it. I just have read and seen so many zombie books and movies and TV shows that this one didn't offer anything like super unique to the table. It's very YA, there was a love triangle. I liked the survival aspect of it, but there was this like mystery and the love triangle part of it. I just felt like they weren't the things I'm most interested in when I'm reading about a zombie apocalypse. I've heard some people say that the rest of the series are better, so if you've read the rest of the books in this series, please let me know what you thought of them. I also do not plan on reading the rest of the Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. I have read The Giver, I did really like it, I read it as an adult, but I didn't like it as much as people who read it when they were younger seem to like it, because I've read so many dystopians now. Like if this were the first dystopian I had ever read, I think that I would definitely love it more because it would be like a front runner. I bought it after I read it because I liked it that much, but I just am not interested in reading the other books in that series, and especially because I know that they aren't an actual continuation of the story that was in this book. They are more like companions, so right now I don't want to continue this one. I will also not be continuing the 100 series by Kass Morgan. This is the book series that the 100 TV show is based on, and the TV show is the reason why I read the first book. I wanted to read the book before I watched the TV show. That book was kind of boring. It was interesting, but it is, once you've seen the show, the book is like nothing compared to the show. The TV show was so much better, and then I got bored with the TV show in season 2 also. That's a very unpopular opinion, is not liking that TV show because everybody loves it. I know that. It's just kind of one of those like, I needed more to happen in that book. The next series I will not be finishing is Luxe by Anna Godberson, and the first book is called The Luxe. I read that book, and do I have that book? I think I had that book at one point in time. Well, I don't have it anymore, but I really did not like the Luxe. I found the little twist in it to be so predictable. I just didn't like the story that happened, and I just didn't think that it stood out as a historical novel or as a romance novel or anything. I just didn't think it stood out to me at all, and it really was a letdown. I also will not be continuing the Nanny Diaries by Emma, McLaughlin, and Nicola Kraus. I read the first book and I saw the movie and I loved it, but I just think that now there are, again, so many other books I'm more interested in instead of picking up the sequel. Plus, I've heard some pretty awful reviews for it, that it's not as good as the first one, so I just don't want to spend my time on it. I'm old, y'all. I don't have time to just read every book ever. Next is actually a series that I really loved what I've read. It's the Tudor Court series by Philippa Gregory, and the first one I read was The Other Boleyn Girl. I read it because there was a movie being made. Some of the books in this series do follow the wives of King Henry VIII, and that's what I was interested in. So when I read The Other Boleyn Girl, I actually went back and read other books by other authors that fit in with Henry VIII's wives. So that's why I haven't continued this series. It's because they don't always follow the rest of his wives. I am also not going to be continuing the Wolves of Mercy Falls series by Maggie Stiefvater. It was originally just a trilogy of the 3 books, and I did enjoy them, but last year, or maybe this year, she put out a 4th book in the series called Forever. It's following different characters, and I did like those characters, but I read these 3 books like 3 or 4 years ago. I think that if there hadn't been such a long gap between books 3 and 4, I might be more interested in it, but as of now, I'm just like kind of past it. I'm almost done, but the next series that I'm not planning to continue is called the 7 Deadly series by Fisher Amelie, and I have read the first book, which was called Vain. I really liked it. It was a 5-star book for me. It was a very emotional ride kind of a book. It's like one of those that will just have you look at things very differently. It's about a very spoiled rich girl who gets into trouble, and her punishment is to go work for a mission in a different country, and she really just has an incredible moving change of heart, and she kind of has her eyes opened to what things are like in other parts of the world. There are 2 other books out in the series right now, but the premise of the books dealing with the other deadly sins, I just don't find them as appealing. The last series I will not be finishing is the Vampire Diaries series by L.J. Smith. I have read the original first 4 books, but there are actually 5 different series in this universe, and I read the first book of the Return spinoff. I hated that book. We got new characters that were just weird. I just thought it was a weird book and I didn't enjoy it, so I don't plan to continue that series. And I liked the original 4 pretty well, but I didn't like them enough to care anymore about what else was going to go on in that world or with those particular characters, so whatever. So those are all the series that as of right now I have quit. If you want to talk me out of quitting any of these series, you can do your best down below, or if you've quit any of these, we can commiserate together, or just tell me what series that you quit because you weren't enjoying it or you just don't have time anymore because too many books, right? So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the comments. Bye!